So it is February 21st, 2026, and I have a decently successful six-figure coffee catering business for events in Miami. I brain rot way less. I'm consistent with a lot of really good habits like reading every day, going to the gym every day, walking and getting 10K steps every day, and I see myself becoming better at everything I want to do, including my number one priority right now, which is get better at speaking and communicating and persuading. But years ago, I was someone who knew I had to do these things, but I was never able to do these things. I sometimes had the motivation to do it, and I sometimes put in the work. Sometimes I put in the work for longer amounts of time, but I was never able to do it for 6 months. Now I've been doing it for 2 years. So what happened? What actually changed? To be completely truthful, there is an accumulation of probably so many different little things that managed to reprogram who I was and allowed me to become the type of person that I am today. Now, I'm not quite where I want to be. I'm not quite hyper successful. I'm not quite top 0.01%. Maybe I made it to the top 10%. That's pretty dang good in my book. Not where I'm comfortable. And you would probably be decently happy with where I'm at right now. And I'm not going to tell you, actually, you won't be happy. I think you will be satisfied, but not satisfied in the way where you're going to get comfortable, satisfied in a way that you're proud of yourself, in a way that you feel good of who you are and who you're becoming. And like I was saying earlier, there's a million tiny little things that happen in my life that contributed to where I am today. So why am I telling you this? Because I want to get through to your head that there's not a single little one piece of advice that will change your life, or a single mindset, or a single event that will take place. Because that's what change is. It's a million different little tiny things. If you want some saws, and I'm going to break down how I did it, sure, listen to me. So, I don't know where to start. I could start in high school and say I wanted to get girls, and I started watching videos on how to get girls, and that progressed into me wanting money and to improve other areas of my life. That's probably where a lot of you started, to be honest. You liked Andrew Tate, or maybe you had another traumatic experience and you turned to the internet. And in the internet, it's a great place. You're gonna get so much good advice. You're gonna get step-by-step roadmaps on what it is you need to do. And I'm not the best at giving those roadmaps, but what I have done is became able I've become able to be the type of person that can follow those roadmaps, because that's the part all these YouTubers always skip. They tell you what to do, but not to become the type of person who can do them consistently. And some people tell you how to do it consistently by telling you an action step. But to be honest, I believe all I can do here right now is to be a little bit of motivation, a little bit of mental rewiring for your journey. So what mental rewirings helped me? Back when I wasn't able to do the work, I seriously wondered why, and there was a point where I felt disconnected from reality, because consciously I was like, I want to do the work right now, but there's like some supernatural force impeding me to do it. And I began questioning free will. Right now, I do not believe in free will, but I'm not going to argue about it right now. But what not believing in free will has led me to do is sort of engineer my life so that outside circumstances shape who I am. Instead of relying on pure willpower, I am more conscious of how I am, how I operate, and that makes me be able to take certain conscious decisions in my day-to-day life. Now that sounds confusing. What does that look like in reality? For example, I've noticed that David Goggins type advice, type motivation, type preaching doesn't work on me. It probably doesn't work on you if you're still watching this video. It means you relate to me in some way, type, or form. That type of motivation where people says, just do the work. Just who's gonna carry the boat? Think of your kids. You have to work hard. That works for some people, don't get me wrong, and only just doesn't work for everyone. And sometimes then I realized that people who who criticize me just don't know that I know that people that criticize me or that have criticized me, by trying to be helpful, they don't realize that I know I should be doing the things that they're telling me to do. That I know I should go to the gym. I know I should stop being sensitive in certain situations. Well, duh. Not believing in free will has led me to understand that the psychological reasons as to why these people do these things are really most of the time not to help you, but it's really to show off or perform or indicate or signal their betterness, or to make themselves feel good about knowing what to do or the advice. And that's how most people operate. They even even people who want to be altruistic or help others and unselfish mostly do it for selfish reasons. And so I've kind of just gotten a little bit more selfish, and I shouldn't be. I should be a little bit more understanding and caring of others. And I feel like I can be, but it's been hard. Now I'm noticing that I've been yapping all over the place. Whatever. I'm doing these videos so I can get better at speaking, but let me continue. Let me try to help you again. So, no free will has led me to try to reverse engineer and construct my environment and surroundings to become the person I want to be. And yes, I'm not going to get too much into free will, but I feel like every time I make a video on change, I need to talk about this because it's one of my most basic foundational beliefs about the world. That's it. I think it came because I wanted people to be empathetic for me, and because I always used to justify my bad behaviors, and people always rejected my justifications. But I thought they were valid, so I worked really hard to confirm my bias and explain how my reasons are actually valid. For example, when a murderer kills someone and he says the reason, everyone goes, "Oh, that's still bad." I don't know, but he goes on to confirm his beliefs, and the best way to do it is I don't have free will. What happened in my life led me to do this. And to be honest, I agree with whoever says that. I think that is factual. I think that is truth. Now we go into another separate part of how I became who I am right now. It is religion. I'm a Christian. I was born and raised Catholic, and yet I don't believe in free will. I think my Christianity and my stance on free will and other topics like free will have led me to feel a cognitive dissonance, or instead a cognitive dissonance, I'm just going to define it as holding two beliefs that can be true at once. So you either accept one belief over the other and stop believing the other belief, or you try to justify really hard why some things can be right simultaneously, like not believing in free will and being Christian, or believing in God. And this has led me to a lot of philosophy. Philosophy has made me feel better than other people. I've not researched much about it. I kind of just philosophize in my own head. Maybe I watch some content, but I can't tell you what Plato stands for, or Diogenes, or what's his freaking face? Locke, that Locke guy, or anyone else for that matter. But it's made me feel better than other people because people don't talk or think about these topics too often. I'm not saying this is good, by the way. I'm just explaining how I live sometimes. Now I'm gonna, I promised I was gonna give you some sauce, some real value. The best thing that has helped me practically is to, whenever I really don't want to do something, this is like, I'm sure you've heard it, but I'm gonna emphasize how useful it is. Whenever I don't want to do something, the best thing I can do is to take the most minimal step possible. Like right a couple hours ago, I was brain rotting. I'm not gonna lie to you. The best thing I could have done then is gotten out of the app. Consciously gotten out of the app. And I would have probably gone right back to the app, but if I consciously made a single tiny step, the probabilities of me getting off sooner and doing some work go significantly up. And when I talk about statistics, that's kind of how I see success. Every action doesn't guarantee anything. It just increases percentage chances little by little, and eventually, as you stack the odds in your favor, even little odds over time, if you take tiny little baby action steps over time, you stack the odds, so you inevitably make it unreasonable for you not to succeed. And that way of thinking is thanks to the modern day philosopher himself, Alex Hormozy. There's a quote that he always says. Alex Hormozy, by the way, is probably the biggest business influencer in the world right now. There's a quote that he always says, it's do so much volume that it would be unreasonable for you to fail. And he applies this to business. I apply it to life and pretty much anything. He applies it to business in the following ways. Do you guys know these people that call you and try to sell you stuff? Well, you call them scammers. I call them cold callers. And what these cold callers do is they just call so many people, and they know everyone thinks they're a scammer. And most of the time they're not selling scams, they're just selling, I don't know, life insurance that your dad probably already has. And these people probably make more money on average than the majority of people, especially if they're good and if they stay consistent. Well, Alex Hormozy says if you do more calls than everybody else, if you double everyone else's volume and amount of calls, you're probably going to get better, and you're probably going to get more sales just for the sheer numbers game. Most people will not be in the situation to buy or be interested, but some people will. And some people are on the edge. First of all, if you do more volumes, you're going to find the people who are actually interested. And when you do more volume, you're going to get better, so you're going to be able to convert and persuade the people that are on edge. So that's the principle of do so much volume that is unreasonable not to succeed. If you become a cold caller and do cold calls every day for 8 hours a day for the next 10 years, my gosh, you're going to learn human psychology, your persuasion, like there's nobody's business, and it's going to be hard for you not to make money because of how good your skills are. And there's so many stuff you can do that with enough volume you can change. Maybe if you do enough reps of changing your mind, you can change from Christian to Muslim. I believe that. And these are the foundational beliefs. One more I'm going to speak to you about is the idea that I'm a measly human being who doesn't know anything. And that idea is honestly mostly a connector to other ideas that make me be able to transcend or ignore cognitive dissonance or ignore my own hypocrisy. That's pretty much what it really stands for. It allows me to say that anything is possible. When I mean anything, I think I'm mostly referring to contradicting viewpoints. If I'm just a measly human being with limited knowledge, then I assume human logic is the same way, and human logic isn't the best framework for absolutely everything. I'm not saying it's bad. Human logic is amazing, and science is amazing. But if anything were possible, then that means 2 + 2 can equal 5, or the sun is yellow and red simultaneously, and that I am alive and dead simultaneously. It's very messy, and I probably hold these beliefs mostly due to wanting to not feel pain of cognitive dissonance and have to make hard choices in life. But I think it's been really working for me. I can believe a lot of things that serve me, which is pretty much the start for you beginners. You should believe thoughts that serve you, even if it feels delusional. I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to leave you with that. God bless you. If you believe in love, or that all things happen for a reason, or anything along those lines, then you already believe in God, because that's what I believe God is. But who am I to know? My human logic and mind is limited.